Today, your backlog is as large as it's ever been. Tomorrow, it will be even bigger. Steam releases thousands of games each year. I personally think we're getting some of the best games ever released right now. But even if you disagree with that, we have more access to video games now than we've ever had during any other period. We're fortunate enough to have the ability to play almost everything that's come out in the past. If you've completed thousands of games, there are thousands more you have not touched. Sometimes you'll see people try to talk about the golden age. As many videos have already pointed out, our taste is all different. Video games, like every other art form, is subjective. It makes no sense to try to apply an objective golden age to a subjective art form. This point has been extensively addressed in other videos, so I want to talk about the most important factors that must be considered when determining your golden age. I think this is important because it helps us understand why we like or liked video games. If your golden age has passed, it's good to figure out why. When figuring out your golden age, the first thing you should think about are the games you've played during that time frame. A lot of times when I hear people talk about their golden age, they talk about all of the best games that came out during that time. If we were talking about your golden age, the release date of the game is almost irrelevant. The time in your life that you actually played the game is infinitely more important. Sometimes these two dates are the same, but a lot of the time they aren't. Like many others, I believe my golden age was during my childhood. Talking about broad ranges is pretty tough, so I'm just going to give you a period of about a year. Let's say 2007-ish. There are fantastic games released during my golden age that I didn't get to play until years later. BioShock is one of my favorite games. It was released in 2007, but I didn't play it until the remasters were released almost a decade later. On the flip side of that, there were so many games released way before 2007 that I sunk a lot of my time into during that year. Games like Kingdom Hearts, Streets of Rage, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 are games that were released way before 2007, but I put so much time into these games during my golden age. The point is, the release date doesn't matter. The time you played a game is the most important. But I was also fortunate enough to have access to newer titles released during that time period. Our family was able to get their hands on a Wii and an Xbox 360. I remember sinking a lot of time into Halo 3, Gears of War, and Wii Sports. These games are pretty good. I had a really good time with them, but they definitely aren't anywhere near my favorite games ever. The reason I enjoyed these games so much is because of the shared cultural experience gamers had during that period of time. So let me explain what I mean by that a little bit. A shared cultural experience is something a bunch of people are experiencing at the same time. It could be as widespread as blowing into your Nintendo cartridges, which we apparently were never supposed to be doing, or something as specific as a meta of a game during a particular patch. Some more examples include buying a cheat code book because you don't have access to the internet, going to the arcade to play fighting games, waiting in line at a midnight release, not for a console but for a single video game rental stores, 3DS Street Pass, the start of Pokemon Go, and more recently, Among Us, and the Animal Crossing craze, specifically during the beginning of lockdown. I just made the distinction between a game's release and the date you play it. But if you're playing a game on its release date, it's likely you're having a shared cultural experience. The day a game comes out is likely going to be the time it's going to have the most people playing it, talking about it, making videos about it, and sharing their experiences. You are more likely to have a shared cultural experience with a particular thing if you're playing it at the same time everyone else is. This is why FOMO feels bad. You have a fear of missing out, not because the game's going to change in between the time it comes out and the time you get to it. It's because you're missing out on the chance to experience it with everyone else. Wii Sports isn't one of my favorite games, but it plays a large role in my golden age because of the cultural phenomenon that was the Wii. Our house looked like a Nintendo commercial. Even my grandma was playing the Wii. But it wasn't just my household. During that period of time, everyone was interested in gaming for just a second. The sudden spike of interest in my hobby, gaming, felt incredible. I felt like the cool kid because I'd always been gaming, and it felt really good to see something that was deemed as like a little kid thing be enjoyed by everyone of all ages. I also have a pretty favorable opinion on Halo 3, but the reason I have really fond memories of it is because it was my introduction to Xbox Live. This was a lot of people's introduction to online gaming. It was impossible to find a silent room, since everyone was so excited about Xbox Live. We weren't really siloed off into private Discord chats yet. We asked each other where we're from, and we talked about how cool it was we were able to play with each other X miles away. If I didn't play these games at these specific times, I'm not sure if they would have made a large impact at all. But that's the point. These games were keys that let me experience those fantastic and unique moments in time that have not been replicated. But I think the most important factor when determining your golden age are personal circumstances. Since I was 9 years old in 2007, I have to acknowledge that there's inherent nostalgia there. My standards were just way lower. I really did have fun with almost anything because my brain was like 4% developed. But there's more than just nostalgia. There were specific aspects of my childhood that elevated gaming that I don't have access to today. I no longer live with my siblings, so I don't really play split screen anymore. I didn't just have fun in Halo 3 because I was on Xbox Live. I had fun because I was with my brother playing split screen the whole time. In campaign, in custom games, in matchmaking, everything. It wasn't just fun because it was my introduction to online gaming, it was fun because we were experiencing our dawn of online gaming together. Gears of War is honestly my favorite out of all the newer games I played around 2007. I think it aged pretty well and I think it has a cool concept, but the reason it resonated with me so much as a player 2 little brother is because it was the first time I got to play as an actual character with a personality. Up until that point, I'd always been a Luigi tier sidekick or duplicate character, so I really appreciate having my own character. And to this day, I will always prefer Dom over Marcus because he was the real first character that was mine. Smash Bros, Mario Kart, Tekken, and Mario Party wouldn't have been fun if I didn't have brothers to play with. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is coming out very soon. It's a sequel to Budokai Tenkaichi 3, our favorite game to play. The new game honestly looks like it's going to be really good, but even if Sparking Zero is better than Tenkaichi 3 in every way, it's not going to hit the same. I don't live with my brothers anymore. Even if we play online, we're not going to be in the same room doing Kamehamehas with Wiimotes. Will it be fun? Probably. Will it be as fun? Probably not. Will it be the same? Absolutely not. The point is, personal factors may have huge impacts on whether or not you enjoy a game. For me, that's living in a house with a ton of siblings. We all know that even the worst games could be an enjoyable experience with the right people, so we have to keep that in mind when we are determining our golden age. To summarize, I think my golden age has passed. Not because I'm not having fun, or that I don't think there's good stuff to play. I'm currently having a lot of fun with Baldur's Gate 3, which might be my favorite game ever. But I think my golden age has passed because of the cultural and personal circumstances which can no longer be replicated. Just talking about your golden age is pretty pointless if you aren't reflecting on why it is your golden age. If you feel like gaming isn't fun anymore, you have to think about why you thought it was fun before. Since I'm biased, I would say it's probably the case that you haven't tried the right game or met the right people, but it could also be the case that gaming just is no longer for you. Maybe your taste is super specific, and once they shut down that 3v3 dodgeball game, there's nothing left to scratch that itch. Or maybe you really only like that one particular game, but think that game has declined in quality since that terrible thing was added. Or maybe the one game you love isn't popular enough to have a competitive scene. Or maybe you don't really have fun playing games online and miss the time where everyone hung out and played games in the arcade. Or maybe you no longer have the time to enjoy the lengthy JRPGs you love. Or maybe you weren't really having fun with the game, you were having fun with your friends. Regardless, there's too much in the world to continue to do things you dislike. Thank you so much for watching. RIP to Knockout City, and have a good one.